First, thank you for everyone that has come out today. And if you're leaving, I haven't announced this earlier, but you see our name here all day, fetyournews.com. We have recorded this, and I think earlier one of the candidates said it's a shame that we don't have a football stadium full of concerned citizens that wanted to hear this. So remember, if you go to fetyournews.com, you will be able to find this Election 2016. There's a button that says Election 2016. Everything today has been recorded, and you can find it and share it with your friends. That's very important. Our goal today is to bring you information. Now, in the interest of time, we're going to have the two Senate candidates that are with us today, U.S. Senate candidates today, speak. That's what Mr. Allison said from the Republican Party, speak to you at this time. So I am Brian Pritchard. I would like to now announce and introduce Mary Kay Bacallao. Did I get that right? Yes, you're live right now, and this is being recorded. So please, let's give her attention. Okay, this is a very important race, folks. Very, very important. And the two candidates on state media, national media, local media, you would not think there were any other candidates in this race. But I'm here to say, let me pinch you, see if it hurts. Oh, they're real, okay? They're real candidates. So I'm happy to introduce Dr. Mary Kay Bacallao.
Okay, if you can hear me, say hello. Hello. If you can hear me, say, go America. If you can hear me, say, yay Republicans.
I didn't hear what you said.
Yay Republicans.
Oh, yay.
Okay, who is voting for Cruz? Anybody voting for Cruz? Yes. Okay, say yay Cruz.
Yay Cruz.
Anyone voting for Trump?
Yes.
Say yay Trump.
Yay Trump.
Okay. Anyone voting for Bernie? Nobody. Anyone voting for Hillary? Oh, I brought it down. I didn't. My ears. Okay. Whether you're voting for Cruz or Trump, speak right into the mic. Whether you're voting for Cruz or Trump, the most important thing you can do in this state of Georgia on May 24th is to vote for your U.S. Senate candidate. Your U.S. Senate candidate.
Excuse me, can we get everybody's attention, please, for the candidates?
Please be quiet.
Okay, thank you for your attention. Your U.S. Senate candidate, the one that you vote for, is going to be determining the laws of this country. And that has so much of an effect on Georgia. It has an effect on everything that we do. The laws passed in the past 10 to 15 years have taken away so many of our freedoms. And I know, because I read the laws. I started out as a Fayette County School Board member, trying to stop Common Core. 5 years, working hard, trying to spread the word. Wow, these standards are 1 to 2 years behind. I haven't been able to stop it. And I've researched the reason why. Our state laws are for it. Our federal law. It started with No Child Left Behind. Are the incumbent who is not here? Johnny Isaacson, I'm not afraid to say his name. I think he's afraid to say my name because he hasn't said it. You're not going to hear Mary Kay Bacallao anywhere. You're not going to hear it on the news. You're not going to hear him saying my name. You're not going to hear him call your house and ask, are you going to vote for Johnny Isaacson, Mary Kay Bacallao, or Derrick Grayson? Do you know why you won't get that phone call, that poll phone call? Because if people know that there is a Mary Kay Bacallao, if people know that there is a Derrick Grayson, then they will research and they will find out, what is Mary Kay Bacallao all about? Why is she running? And when they research that, and when they find out why Mary Kay Bacallao is running, they will vote for me. I am the first one on the ballot. The reason why they're going to vote for me is because they know as well as I do, that the incumbent is a deal maker with Obama and has been the go-between between the Republicans and the Democrats. The deals that have been made, have they been in our favor?
No.
Absolutely not. They have taken away our freedom. So here's how I made a challenge to the incumbent. And I told him in March, it's been over a year ago, that if he voted for the new education bill, which I read, I would run against him. There was no reply to that. I contacted his office again in July. Did he answer me back? No. He voted for the bill. Then in December, remember, there were 8 months to read that bill. Don't give me any excuses about how we didn't have enough time to read the bill. If I can read it at home, he could read it in D.C. I called in December. It was right after Thanksgiving, November 30th. They released the final version of the bill. And you know what happened? They told me it stops Common Core. I got upset. Let me just tell you, I got upset. And when I saw Fox News, new bill, stops Common Core, I paused the TV, I took a picture. I could not believe that Fox News was telling me something that I knew was absolutely false. It does everything but stop Common Core. What it does is it causes us to have to submit all of our data on all of our tests, all of our surveys, political kinds of surveys, all of our behavior records, electronically to Congress. Now, what does Congress have to do with our kids' report cards? Congress is not our mother. Congress is not our father. Congress is not our local school board member. Why do they need the data? So, you know what? I talked to his staffers. It was clear they had not read the bill. Because when I had the page numbers and the line numbers of what I was talking about, they said that they did not know that, they had other talking points, but they would call me back. Do you think that they called me back? No. They're pretending that we do not exist. So what I'm going to do, when I go to D.C., if I should be blessed enough for you to send me, I will do like I have been doing, reading the bills, not just the education bill. I've read other bills as well, looking at the Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act. It's opposite day in Washington, D.C., because they're telling us it's the Affordable Care Act, so we know that it's the opposite of that. It's insurance. What right does the government have to require us to purchase insurance? They don't have that right to require us to purchase insurance. Don't you think we pay enough for insurance as it is? And if you look at another bill, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, the incumbent voted for that too. Do you know what that means? Does it mean innovation? No. Does it mean opportunity? No. What it means is our state, as of March 3rd, had to submit to the United States Department of Labor a plan for training for workforce in Georgia. Now, who thinks that the federal government, the U.S. Department of Labor, should tell us what careers we can have in Georgia? I don't. I don't even think a local school board member should be able to do that. I believe our country was founded on the ability of the individual to choose what they want to do, their destiny, to have that be their decision, not to put that in the hands of a federal bureaucrat. And if you look at what's happening with the VA, why is the VA failing to meet the needs of our veterans? Because it's a bureaucracy. There's no accountability. But that's exactly what is being set up with all the other bills. But it's not just being set up for the veterans. It's being set up by the Senate Help Committee Do you know what the Senate Help Committee stands for? HELP. We don't need this help, but this is the help that they have a committee to offer us. Health, education, labor, pensions. They have national workforce standards for us. They have national education standards for us. They have medical care where they have 60,000 codes and everything is computerized. I want to go to Washington, D.C. to read the bills, to shut down the Help Senate Committee, to make sure we keep our national sovereignty. The incumbent has delegated away to Obama the authority to negotiate trade agreements. Do you think Obama is going to do a good job negotiating trade agreements? I don't think so. Why in the world would the Republican legislature delegate that away? I don't know. I will not be delegating that away. We also have the omnibus. I have experience in voting no for an all or nothing budget. And that's what the omnibus was. Everybody was getting everything that they wanted, except for the American taxpayer, because we were getting ripped off with an increase in discretionary spending. Spending money for refugee resettlement? Spending money for Planned Parenthood? I've voted no before. I've been the only one to vote no. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. I stood up and voted no. If you send me to Washington, D.C., I plan to be there at that desk. Do you know they have desks over there in the Senate? Have you watched that on TV where they have desks? Do you ever see anyone sitting at those desks reading bills? Do you ever see that? What do you see? You see people milling around, talking, joking, making deals. That's our country on the line. That's our future, our kids, our health care, our economy. And people are slapping each other's backs. That shouldn't be. What should it be? It should be someone sitting there with the bills, with the Constitution and the bills, and knowing what the people of America want, which is freedom. We want freedom. Georgia wants to keep our state sovereignty. Do you know why originally the U.S. Senate approved Supreme Court justices? The Supreme Court has to confirm the Supreme Court justices. Do you know why? It's because originally they were to protect the states from the federal overreach. So if you send me to be a U.S. Senator, I will be the opposite of the incumbent who wanted to bring Dax Lopez, an open borders person, to the floor for a vote. I will not want Supreme Court justices who want open borders, who want to reinvent our Constitution.
2 minutes, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you so much. When I get my cue, I get my cue. Thank you so much for being here and staying to the very end and listening. And I'm trying to stop the cycle of money. So in order to stop the cycle of money, I have to refuse the money. So if right now running this campaign you don't hear my name, it's because I'm not taking the money. But silver or gold have I not, but what I have I give to you, and that is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mary Kay Bacallao? Bacallao. Dr. Mary Kay Bacallao. Thank you very much. And now let me introduce you another candidate for U.S. Senate, Mr. Derrick Grayson. Many of you know Mr. Grayson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Make sure I was talking to some live bodies. My platform is on this push card. We've got some back there on the table, Second Amendment, tax reform, etc. All that stuff that's in there. Everything you would expect from somebody who believes in 100% of the Constitution, 100% of the time. Johnny Isaacson, everything that he has done to you that is unconstitutional, that violates the Bill of Rights, that taxes and spends you to death, We got those back there too. So I won't spend time on that. And if you want to know about my platform, I got that information. I'm going to go off script. Because when I was here earlier, I saw something that it disturbs me. When I ran in 2014, I saw things that disturbed me when we went to debates. Now, I'm not talking about Mary Kay Bacallao, so I want to make that clear. She's very good about this. I want to tell you just a quick little story. When I went in the Navy, I spent 6 years in the Navy, went to boot camp. Boot camp's 8.5 weeks. And I noticed how they made a big deal out of little things, and I couldn't understand why. You know, the bed had to be made, and the corners had to be at 45-degree angle, and we had to stencil our underwear with our name and social security number, and you had to get that right in the right place. And if you couldn't manage to get it right, you wouldn't progress, because each week you would progress with your unit. That's how you made your time and got out. And when I saw a guy that had stencils down here and over there, I knew this was somebody who wasn't hacking. And I asked the drill instructor, I said, why are y'all making such a big deal about these little things? And he said, Derrick, if you can't pay attention to the smallest of details, if you can't obey the simplest of things, you aren't ready to progress, and you certainly aren't ready to be in the Navy. Because you see, when you leave here, you're going to be dealing with equipment that is worth millions and millions of dollars. And people's lives will be at stake. And we expect you to be able to follow detail, pay attention to detail. But what is the significance of that? We have a Constitution, a United States Constitution. It's very simple to understand. We have a Georgia State Constitution. Very simple to understand, but both are violated daily. And when I go to debates and forums and I watch people where we have a timekeeper that says, when I raise this yellow card, 30 seconds, when I raise this red one, stop, yet they continue to talk as though they don't even care that there was a rule put in place. They give no regard to the moderator that is trying to keep things moving forward. If they can't follow the simplest of details, don't you understand now why they violate the Constitution every day and why they violate the Georgia State Constitution every day? Because they have no desire to pay attention to the rules, what's laid out and what we know works. I heard one guy in here talking about making a big deal of carrot and stick legislation is what I call it. The carrot was, you don't have to pay the birthday tax anymore. That's the carrot. But here's the stick that he didn't mention. The government, the state of Georgia, inserted itself into every private motor vehicle sale from this day forward. When I sold my motorcycle, a used motorcycle, one of us had to pay the 7.5% sales tax that they assessed on it. It was either going to be me reducing the price of the motorcycle, because the guy said, well, I'm only paying $6,500, so you have to, or it was going to be him. So that's what I was faced with, and so I reduced the price so he could still afford to buy the motorcycle and I could still sell the motorcycle. See, they didn't tell you about that, and that was the stick part of the legislation. They got smart with the gasoline tax. They boasted about that, but what they didn't tell you, the local guys, they told them, we aren't going to raise taxes up here in the state because we want to be able to brag about what we have done. But you got to start kicking some more money up the road to us. And if you need to, you do a special tax bill where you can raise it another cent if you need to. See, these are the things that they don't tell you, and I'm sick of people violating my constitutional principles. I am sick of them trying to find new ways to tax me. 1913, every American in this country became debt slaves to the IRS. And I hear them talk about the wonderful things that they're doing with taxes, the money we're doing this for, we're doing that for. That was never the intention of our founding fathers, for us to become debt slaves. Now I can go on and on and on about the things that Johnny Isaacson has done, but you know what? Johnny Isaacson is not the problem. The problem is Georgians and the American voter who continues to vote for people that engage in activities that make you and your children slaves. It's time to do something different and stop voting for these people. Now, if you want the records, I got them. I can show you in black and white what they have done. You either have a constitution or you have a constitution that you are going to continue to allow people that you vote for to violate. That is what you need to decide. I can give you the proof, but you have to be prepared to do something different. And if you send me to Washington, D.C., I'm not going to just go and vote no because it's unconstitutional. I'm going to give you the names of the individuals that are trying to stick it to you so you can do what needs to be done, and that is fire them. Because the power belongs to the people, not those in D.C. You don't need leaders, people. You need representatives that will serve the will of the people, and that is what our Constitution is all about. Thank you.
And I didn't have to tell you time was up. You know, most of us have to be. I think the two of you are going to be over in Lumpkin County. Are you headed that way? Before we leave, we did not prepare questions. How about this? Does anybody have a question from the audience? Would you be okay with that? Absolutely. Somebody like to stand up and ask a question? Go ahead, Derrick.
How do we get both of them elected?
Okay, I want to answer that.
Go ahead.
My strategy is word of mouth. So if you want me elected, please tell everybody you know, ask everyone you know to vote for me, because they will trust you, and then you will tell other people, and they will trust them. Right now, that's the strategy that I've got going on.
But we can't get both of you elected.
Well, you have to choose one.
I don't want to choose one. I want to get rid of.
Do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, I have one from Mr. Grayson. You sold your motorcycle. Did you buy a new one?
The 2014 model.
Well, before my question, I also agree on the ad valorem tax, because I just bought an RV a few months ago and decided that it wasn't quite big enough. So I had to pay a nice chunk of sales tax when I bought it. And now the person I'm going to sell it to is going to have to pay that, and it's only been a short period of time. And I just found out the taxes on my newer used one is going to be $5,230 on Monday. And I mean, it blew my mind, so I'm not buying tags Monday because I don't have the $5,230. And that's on a used RV. And if I sell it, somebody else will pay that kind of tax money. So it's not just, we always did pay that 7% on a new one, but you used to be able to buy a used vehicle from your neighbor who was selling their RV, and you didn't have to pay those things. Now, my question is, I'd like to know from both of you your stand on immigration and the entitlement programs, and if you would do anything to what your position is.
Both of you, I don't have time to right now. We're both of you about a minute and a half to answer that.
It's the job of the Congress to set rules for naturalization. And so once those rules are set by Congress, that will be our job to do. Then they need to be enforced by the executive branch. And we need to coordinate with the states in enforcement of that. If the executive branch refuses to enforce the rules, from laws of naturalization, then it is the job of the House of Representatives to impeach, and the Senate will try that impeachment if the executive branch needs to be reined in. About immigration, I do not think that our taxpayer dollars should be used to incentivize certain groups of people for resettlement, such as the refugee resettlement program, which has been done, and that has come through our state. So when the money flows down, goes through our state, we want our state to say no, but our state hasn't been able to say no, So from the federal government, we want to say no from there. I'm against amnesty also, 100% against that.
Mr. Grayson?
It's on this piece of paper, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you anyway. First and foremost, we must secure the border. Next, we must eliminate the anchor baby system because that was never the intent of the 14th Amendment. Next, we must enforce the current laws that we have on the books. Then we turn off the spigot that brings them here by getting rid of social services such as housing, education, food stamps, and things of that nature. Streamline the immigration process, shut down sanctuary cities, and on top of that, prosecute businesses that hire illegals because that is also another magnet that brings them across our borders. That is how you deal with illegal immigration, and the reason it hasn't been dealt with is because people still make money off of it and they don't want it to go away. That is why they are trying to do this amnesty. I am for absolutely no amnesty. Get back in line, go back to your home, and come here legally. End of story.
Got another question? Go ahead.
Stance on the fair tax.
You start with Mr. Grayson this time.
You know, I'm a fair tax proponent. I wear the badge proudly. I have studied the fair tax extensively. The fair tax will undo a lot of the damage done by NAFTA, creates jobs, it will encourage investment and savings. It gets the government out of your pocket, and it takes us back to pre-1913 where we had no 16th Amendment because it will be repealed. We had no IRS because it will be shut down, and we have, well, we won't get rid of it right then, but that will put us next in line to get rid of the Fed, because with the fair tax and the government not being able to tax and spend us through our income, it will put the brakes on their spending, and then that will put us in position to get rid of the Fed.
Dr. Bacallao?
I would say fair tax would be plan A, but I do have plan B. And plan B is to make sure that the government can't use the tax code to manipulate us, because right now they're using our taxes to incentivize one thing or another. So plan B would be to make sure that the taxes are low, fair, proportional. So you don't pay more, you don't pay a greater percentage if you have more. Everyone pays the same percentage for a business and individual. So my plan B is to take away the ability of the IRS to control us and have lower, flat, proportional taxes. But plan A, it would be great to repeal and have the fair tax, but I have to have a second plan in case that doesn't work.
Thank you very much. You know, in interest, these candidates have to get to Lumpkin County because what you have seen today, they're starting at 6 and probably going till 10 o'clock tonight. So we've got to get these candidates over to Lumpkin County. So you know what, as we close anything, why don't we start with Dr. Bacallao? Why don't you give us a 2-minute close? I don't have a timekeeper. I'll just give you the... And then Mr. Grayson, why don't you give us a closing statement?
Well, I'll just be short and say, if you send me to DC, I will be the studious one to read the bills and tell you what they say, and vote in your best interest every time. There's no other reason for me to go to DC than to stop all the nonsense that is happening. Otherwise, I would want to be home with my family. But in being home and doing my job, and every single day having to do the will of the federal government, it's so hard. That's why I'm doing this. And so if you would pull a Republican ballot, and you'll see the first name on that ballot is Mary Kay Bacallao, and choose that one. Thank you.
Mr. Grayson?
As I noted earlier, I need you to decide whether or not we have a constitution or we have a constitution that it's okay for people to violate. Rome stood for 500 years as a republic. Then they got corrupted. But their republic believed in elections often and no man holding power for too long. That's where George Washington grew from. And that's why George Washington was only in office for 2 terms. He said no man should have power for too long. But the Senate got corrupt, and Caesar saw an opportunity. A few wars later, Caesar installed himself as a dictator. We now have Washington, D.C. that is corrupt. Our local politicians are corrupt. But we are the ones who continue to re-elect them and elect them, knowing that they really don't care about the Constitution. So you have to make the Constitution important to you. The children of Israel, they rejected God and wanted a king because all of a sudden God's word wasn't important to them, and it led to their destruction. We are on that same path unless we are prepared to do something different. And the last thing I'm going to say is this. Mr. Isaacson, and I wish him well in his health issue, but Nathan Deal, if you vote for Johnny Isaacson, Nathan Deal will be appointing your next U.S. Senator. I can promise you that. So decide whether or not you want to go down the path of corruption, or decide whether or not you want somebody that is going to stand on 100% of the Constitution, 100% of the time, and do more than just vote no. Expose the corruption to you so that you can take out the trash, because that's your job, ultimately, according to the Constitution.
Thank you. Let's hear it for these candidates. And let's also keep in mind, if you guys can stay here, if you can stay here just a minute, let's also keep in mind they drove a long way today. I want to make a brief statement as FetcherNews.com, the CEO, Brian Pritchard. My wife has been at the broadcast table all day long. We are a small business. We call ourselves America, just like you. But I want to use these two candidates as an example of something today, of why we started our business. I'm not endorsing candidates. We do not at FetcherNews.com. But our belief is, at FetcherNews.com, if a candidate goes down and pays their qualifying fee and has their name put on the ballot, it's our place to bring you the information. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's a sad state of affairs in the state of Georgia when these candidates do this, and major media outlets do not even acknowledge their name when they're talking about opponents. You can go to some media outlets and they will be talking about Mr. Isaacson's Democrat opponent like these two people don't exist. I am not. Now remember what I said, major media outlets. So I need you to help me make FetcherNews.com the major media outlet. Thank you very much. We're all going to go to Lumpkin County, right? Yep. Thank you, candidates. And thank the Republican Party and the Union Towns Tea Party for allowing me this opportunity to be with you today. FetcherNews.com, 8 to 10, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10. I do a live show. You go to FetcherNews.com, FYN TV. And I want to thank Rob Thibodeau, especially today, because the guy that sits in the front that nobody talks about is the guy that has to pay attention. And he gives me the hook. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ellison.